coffee, brake parts, but we got to get in here. You guys have got to see what happened here. This just keeps getting better. Hello again, YouTube. Today we're going to start episode number 3. We got to get in here. You guys have got to see what happened here. This just keeps getting better. Get you zoomed down here. Now I got that caliper off, get the caliper bracket out of here, and I took this drum and I pulled this thing off, and I was not expecting to see that. There's nothing there. There's no springs, there's no clips, there's no hardware, there's no adjuster, there's no nothing. This is where the emergency brake cable goes through. It's there, it's intact, it looks good, it seems functional. I didn't have any issues when I tested the brake, so we're going to build this parking brake back up, assumably from nothing. Almost not feeling like doing this today. Yeah, be careful you don't snap these studs. Pull on this side all back apart again. Pull those apart again. You can probably tell I'm not in a very talkative mood at the moment. I got a lot of stuff to do on this truck. As soon as I get these brakes all straightened out, and whatever I need to do to get this other side assembled. I've got the brake shoes, I've got the hardware, got the adjuster. As far as I know, I've got everything over there I need. But I want to make absolutely sure that I'm not missing something. So we'll just set this whole stinker up here for now. Yeah, I don't know what these brake shoes rest against, but from the looks of things, it's the same thing over on the other side. So I'm going to grab my hammers, see if I can straighten out some of the metal over there. I'm going to leave this open because we got to take this all apart, tear it all down, put all the new brake shoes and stuff and hardware over on this side. Repeat over on that side. Get the other caliper installed and get this blown out brake line. Let's see if you guys can get up in here. See this brake line right here? That's what let go up in here. Here's the other end of it. We're gonna take this all out, splice in a new one. In the meantime, back to getting this mess apart. And I'll show you having all the fancy tools. Get this clip undone, grab right a hold of that pin with a pair of needle nose pliers. Push in on it and then twist. And if you're lucky, just like that, you get your clip out, and we'll get in there, and the head of that's still good. But we're going to do the same thing over here on this side. Get in here, grab a hold of that pin, push in, rotate it, and see if we can grab that clip. There's the other clip. Now when getting these apart, you get the spring up in the top. You got a spring down here on the bottom with the adjuster. Got my long needle nose pliers, and I can sneak it right up around the spring, up around the adjuster, and just lift the adjuster right out of it. There's the adjuster. I'll be replacing this as well. Get a little spring in there. I don't really care if I mangle anything because this is all getting replaced anyways. Well, that one came unhooked on the other side. Top. And just pull them right off. Now, getting these springs out of them, it's like one of those little kids' puzzles. Imagine getting spring in there is probably not much easier. In this case, the rear and the front are both the same, and what we see underneath here is the same thing that's over on the other side. There's the pin, still good shape. Not that I'm going to be reusing those because the new hardware has all those new clips. Now putting the new ones on works pretty much the same way. Double check that this adjuster and the other one look exactly the same. Now what you're going to see is this one here, it's on the top, and the brake line's coming out, the brake cable's coming out the back side. Over on this side, it's down on the bottom, and the brake cable's coming out the bottom instead of out the top. This side, two for that side. We've already established that there's literally no difference between any of them. Two for this side. And then hardware. Now the springs, the self-adjusters, the clips, the lower spring, retainer springs, upper springs. Got everything we need in here to put these in there. Springs are exactly the same. So we got the 2 clips, the 2 nails or pins, adjuster, the bottom spring, and I believe that's all of what we need for this side. We'll put this over on the other side for now. Grab the 2 top ones. The big part down here, the big groove, that's for your adjuster. Let's get these springs in. Get it over here on one side. Working. Other side. Now underneath the emergency brake. Now comes the fun part. You got the little nails, the clips. Take the nail, push the nail through. You need to get this brake shoe back out here. Get the pin through the hole in the brake shoe. And the nail needs to be straight up and down. So well, but it is what it is. Wiggle it until I get it there. All right. Now, this push, put down over. I'll be back when I figure that one out. There, managed to get that in. I had to use one of the old ones. I snapped the head off one of the good ones. So now we get to the other one. What I ended up doing was using the handle of my screwdriver, creating a space in here, locking this far enough out that I got room to work, and use the needle nose long jaw to get in there and turn it. I'm going to do the same thing on the back side. I have to figure out how to stupid pin straight up and down. New clip. Lose everything in the process. Yep. Let's try again. Make sure that pin is straight up and down. one part about this that I really hate. I've got the right tool for this, but it seems like it grew some legs or something. This is going to take some more finagling. The other one was really not very easy to do. Sometimes it takes a lot of extra effort, a lot of tries, but eventually, persistence, you'll get them in there. Now we got the hardware, bottom spring, the adjuster to contend with, so we need to go grab some silicone grease to lube this up with. Let's move the pliers out of the way. Self-adjuster. Screw the screw all the way down into the adjuster. And then coat the threads of it with grease, which I'm running low on in this tube. Just coat it up real good. And work it, spin it down into your adjuster. There's a tiny little air hole on the back side, so it'll bleed itself out. You won't get it hydro-locked. And then spin the head out. Get some of the lubricant up through the inside of the nut. A little bit on the threads on the outside again. Wipe off the excess, spin it back down in. Then we're going to put the little spring right here back in place. Leave about one turn out. Alright, now we're going to get that green spring in there. This is going to be a lot of fun. Close the springs right up. There we go. Now comes a new fun part. I gotta spread it apart, get the adjuster back up in there. What you doing all the way down there? There we go. Adjuster's not where it belongs. No, I think it is. Amen. Now, gotta get that adjusted. Get this rotor back on it. And it's gonna be a little rough for a while. A lot of rust on the inside of this. It's gonna have a ways to go yet. Posi works pretty damn nice in this thing. The amount of rust that's in there, I'll call that adjusted right there. Now we can get over, get the other side started. Clean all this mess up. There, we can put the caliper back down. Sure you torque those bracket bolts good. Alright, now we can go assemble the other side. So now that we've gotten all freshened up by rebuilding the passenger side or the driver's side, we're going to start over here again on the passenger side. Yeah, get in here. This is all, so you get your turn here. This is all bent. And we're going to use a pair of hammers. One is a hammer and one is an anvil. And we're going to try to straighten out what of this mess we can. This was my truck personally. I'd be unbolting this, pulling the whole axle out, replacing this whole thing, but not my truck. So we got the 3-pounder for setting behind it as the anvil, and then regular hammer to do all the pounding on the front. So let's get started. I'm going to adjust the volume on this thing for you guys so you don't get your eardrums blasted out. Wow, this thing's mangled. It's like trying to straighten out a ball of crinkled up tin foil. I can make it look like foil again, but I guarantee you it's going to be wrinkled. This is probably all going to get bent when I try to put the retaining springs in. That side's good and straightened out now. See, use the claw of the hammer, work right down through here. Use that to help reshape. All these little lips back here are all bent and curled around. Pulling them back out. 10 coil. There. That's a lot straighter than it was. See that? There we go. Now we can start assembling this mess. And start getting ourselves set up and situated here. Things aren't the cheapest in the world, so saving money. Starting to get a little windy out here. Apologize if there's any wind noise. Grab our brake pads and their blue spring. Now remember, this is going to be upside down of what it was on the other side. And there's a phone call. Hello? Oh, it's a spoofed credit card call.
Eligibility to lower your rate will expire.
I think this credit card company knows they're going to be recorded. No, they don't want to answer apparently.
All of our representatives are currently busy. Please stay on the line, and your call will be answered by the next available representative.
Wow.
Thanks for holding. Card Services, how are you?
Hello, Card Services. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. I believe you are responding to get lower rates on all of your credit cards, correct?
Sure. I don't even have a credit card.
Because here it shows that from past 6 to 8 months you have been making the payments on time, and sometimes you pay more than your minimum, correct?
Oh, I try to.
But you can see the balances are not coming down, sir, like the way it should be, because of the higher interest rate that is running more than 10%. I'm sure you know that, right?
About 12.9.
Alright, perfect. Now, for the qualification purposes, how much do you think you owe on your credit cards altogether? Just a ballpark figure?
Let's see, if I add the Discover that I don't have to the Visa that I don't have and the MasterCard that I don't have, probably zero.
What about American Express, if you might have?
I've never had one of those.
Why that?
Never applied for one.
Why?
Probably because I didn't particularly care for their terms or their interest rates.
Well, I can give you no interest. What are you worrying about?
No interest? You can give me a credit card with no interest?
No interest at all.
At all?
Charge Yes, sir. Charge him and pay him what he charged. That's all. Nothing extra.
So it's a net 30 card. It's called a net 30 card.
What card?
Net 30, it's a payment style.
Yes, sir. Whatever you like.
Ah, okay. And what kind of information do you need from me?
What kind of information?
Yeah, what do you need for information?
I want to make sure I'm getting arrested. Get arrested? You got a card?
Do you need my name?
No, I want to make sure that if you're arrested and get a card with no interest.
Okay, and how do I go about doing that?
Are you arrested?
Am I interested? He hung up. All right. No, I'm not going to charge the customer for that time. I'm not charging him anyways. I'm doing this as a favor. But go ahead, put your spring in. If I was doing this for a customer, I would actually really be recommending that this entire backing plate be replaced. I believe that the bearing and the locking mechanism is all right in here. So when you undo these 4 bolts, the axle and this whole housing and everything just comes right out as one piece. And then you can release the circlips from inside, break it down further, switch over these. It's not that complicated. It kind of looks it, but it really isn't. It's more of a pain when you have to open up the rear end. In this particular style, I don't believe there are the circlips holding the axles in. I could be wrong. I haven't pulled one of these apart myself. But when you see this kind of a system, there's a circlip in here that locks your axle in place. Then this whole unit, bearing it all, bolts in. The axle assembly comes out as one whole assembly bolted in at this point. Now, you got your brake spring in place. Turn the whole system upside down because, well, that's the way this one is. And let the fight begin. That one over on that side, and then the challenge is going to be right over here. We're going to do the back side first. And with the way the emergency brake mechanism in here works, I think that's probably my best bet. Start with that one. Oops. Okay, this is going to be difficult. What I'm going to try to do is get the clip into the back, retaining clip into the back one first, and then go from there. Now we've got to find that hole. All the way up here at the top. Yeah, I can tell already this is going to be a lot of fun. So I don't know if I want to have you guys see me do this or not. The other side was horrible. I got it done, but God, it's almost embarrassing going through this kind of struggle. Long needle nose pliers, short needle nose pliers. Let's see how it goes. Half the trick is getting the clip in there first. Then you got to get this little piece in the middle turned to where it's going to want to go on. And not have everything go moving around on you while you're trying to do it. There's so little space to do stuff. Get that turned straight up and down, get a clip on, over it. Let's get it set in place. And then using the needle nose, whatever means it takes, get that piece in the middle, add it, alright, start again. I can't believe I normally do this stuff at a flat rate. But if you try to rush, it never works. Take your time. Race. Don't work for a dealership. Getting that little piece in that hole. There we go. So guys, the thing you guys don't understand is there's a tiny little hole that I'm putting my finger through in the back of this to hold this nail in place. Trying it again. So I'm on to something, but I need a third hand. You guys want to reach over here and help me for a sec? Let's try this again. Get it in, get it over. Now, turn it 90 degrees. And that one's on. Yay! That's actually pretty good. I don't know if you guys can see right here, I actually got that fairly straight lined up with the brake shoe. Now we're going to go around the other side and do the same thing. Now, do I want to try this first? Yeah, why not? Wasn't fair, I had you in there. Okay, go this way then. Somehow that doesn't seem quite right either. Let's try the other one, other side. Yeah, that seems a lot better. Pull that down into, oops, let me get that parking brake in the right spot, lever in the right spot. There we go. Butt that brake pad all the way up against the bottom. Alright, that's where that's supposed to be. Now we can start fighting with this other side. Almost. Now we're up and over everything we need to be. Alright. Getting some grease onto the brake shoe, so I want to be a little bit more careful of that. I'll rinse that down when I'm done. Now we got to get the spring and the nail on the other side. We got the whole bag here. I'll zoom in there so you can see this mess. This is what we're trying to do, is get this nail through that hole and then through a hole in the brake shoe, just like that. It actually did. Now we're going to have to find a way to pin this shoe in place while we fight with this silly little nail and the clip. And what I'm going to do is this one. I'm going to grab my vice grips and I'm just going to clamp my vice grips probably right about here. That's right about where we're going to try wrestling with it. Okay, so that's lightly holding it. I'll probably even knock the pliers down. Now we take this, set it over this little pin. Try. Grab it from the top corner edge like this, slide it down in behind, get your nail lined up at the right angle, try like heck. Not sure why it won't pop up in place. Ow! Now turn it 90 degrees. That's the whole dang clip. There we go. Now we can rotate the clip down where it's supposed to be. We're in. Like I said, it's never really easy to do those, but I'm going to go ahead and release the vice grips from up on the top. bring the brake shoe on a little bit so that it's lined up with this edge. Make sure that the edge is actually lining up with the brake shoe. In this case, I'm going to go give it a couple of little love taps on the high spots. Alright, now everything looks like it's where it needs to be. Double check all the clips again, double check all your springs. Brake shoes are where they're supposed to be on the anvil. Now this particular angle right here, you can see that little slot is more towards the rear, so that's where we're going to be putting the adjuster, is more towards the rear. I'll go ahead and put that spring in the top with the adjuster. Everybody gives you that little package of grease. Speaking of which, I need to go grab mine. Just like a tube of toothpaste. Work it all the way down through and start rolling the tube. Good to the last drop, unless you get a lot of contaminant in it. That right there. Yuck. Now the way I did this on the other side was I put the spring in first. Like so. Spread them back apart. And then down underneath. I hate having big fingers sometimes. And once you got that down in there, then the fun part begins. You find things to pry with. Pry and hold this in place all at the same time. Alright, the adjuster is now in place. There's nothing else in here. It's just the adjuster that separates the two. And the actual pivot's down here on the bottom. That spreads it. It jams against the anvil, it locks into against the wheel. Simple operation. If it's not adjusted correctly, it can cock sideways, and that it can cause the wheel to lock up. So you want to make sure that you do adjust this to the point where you're just below drag. And what I mean by just below drag is when your brake pads are outward, they're dragging against the inside of the rotor. In the relaxed position, they're no longer in contact with the rotor. You want to be able to get these to retract just enough to lose the contact with the rotor or the inside of the drum, but not still maintain any kind of a drag. If you adjust them so that they're too loose, they'll cock sideways when you apply the brake, and they'll lock the wheel. So in order to be able to have smooth, gradual application of the brakes, they have to be adjusted properly. Hope that made sense. So, we've got the adjuster. That's what we don't have here in this kit. There are little rubber plugs that go on the back. I'm surprised I didn't notice that earlier. They got everything else, everything we needed, except for the little plug that goes right in here. I'm sure it's going to get wet anyways, but it just helps keep from stones and other debris from getting in here, which gets ground up between your brakes. Okay, enough talking, get back to work. Obviously, That's not tight enough. Now the other thing you want to watch for too, because remember this backing plate was all a disaster area. You want to double check what's rubbing where, and in this case, the edge of this drum, or the inner part of the hat, goes right along this edge. And this is actually on the up inside. So that's acting as a barrier. So, brake spoon. It's a double-sided bent-over screwdriver. Now, because we don't know which way we're going, we're going to do a little practice run right here. Okay, got to get way down underneath it. And probably up on it to get it to tighten. So we know which way this is going. Now we can do that until this starts to snug. That could take a little while. Pull the drum forward a little bit, you can actually see the wheel, so you know when you're getting it or when you're missing it. Now you'll find too that if you do this, you can keep tightening until it starts to grab the drum. I still got a ways to go yet. But this way here, it's a lot easier when you can see the wheel turning. You know whether or not you actually got a good grip in it. Because you can only move this one tooth at a time. Now, we're going to try the emergency brake. Yeah, the wheel on that side's good and locked up. That one's not turning, but it's wobbling. So I still got to adjust that some more. There's no lip on that, so it's not going to get stuck. But again, all we're doing, getting behind this wheel and just rotating that wheel one tooth at a time. Now that's going to have to be backed off a little bit. Alrighty. Now we can put the new caliper and bracket on. This is going to be fun. We're going to finish up getting the caliper on here, get the brake line, brake hose hooked up to it. We're going to be replacing that blown out brake line, or the section of it, and we're going to be cutting and flaring using the old couplers. We're going to be flaring a new line in, and then we're going to come back to this and bleed out the brakes. And yeah, I'm using the old brake pads. That's what he wants to do. And then this one here, which was partially chewed through by the old one, actually we don't need to worry about that because they did give those to us. And we got a new banjo bolt, so we don't have to worry about that. Got the two copper washers. So we're actually in good business here. Get rid of those. The only thing I'm going to be dealing with for an issue is the majority of this ear is gone. That was chewed right through on that caliper, the caliper bracket, the pin bolt. Go back and look at the previous clip. You'll see how bad that really was. But we're going to take these horribly unevenly worn brake pads and slap them back in here. They'll wear back in pretty quickly. And no, I don't advise doing this. My personal opinion is this drum is not too bad, but I don't know that it's not warped, you know, as far as the parking brake. We're putting a brand new caliper or a remanufactured caliper on it. Now, let's get these caliper bolts out first. Don't want to go getting anything here dirty, so we'll set that up on top of the tire. And what do I do right off the bat? I start dropping pins. There we go. Okay, so there's the old bolt that came out of the bottom, and there's the new bolt that's going to be going in on the top. They are different sizes, so I got to go grab the socket that's going to fit this one, and the socket that's going to fit this one. In this particular case, this is a 22 millimeter, so I'll just grab the wrench instead of trying to get in there with the lug wrench, the lug socket. That's 22 millimeter, but there's no way I'm getting in there with that. So, but this one here is going to be right up on the top. This one down here is going to be on the bottom. Let's get this bracket in. You get one started, and you come up for the other one. That was a little bit difficult to get it started. Double met wrench method, get a good grip on it. And then the bottom one, that was an 18. Make sure you torque them. Don't, you end up in the situation this was in the first place, where this top bolt had turned up missing and the whole thing went cocked forward. I'm probably going to get some brake noise out of this thing for a little while because that plate in the back being all bent, but it seems to be fairly straight lined up with this now. Brake pads, or the old brake pads in this case. We're going to keep this on the outboard, especially because the rotational pressure is all down here on the bottom. Well, it can't go in, that's good. Okay, so we are getting movement in here. That's good. Make sure with the same thing with the other one. Okay, now can I flop them back and forth a little? Yes, good. Okay. And let's see, this one here was the one that was really worn unevenly. just emphasize that a couple of times. This is not how to do your brakes. But this is an I don't give up, you know what kind of a truck. And, well, it's not going back to the state that it came from, so this stuff actually has to pass inspection. Of course, in this state, unless they take the wheels off of it, almost anything will pass anyways. Not supposed to, but everywhere you go, you get people that don't follow rules because, well, it's convenient that way. You know, get it on the brake material, just on the edges of the ear. And you can go ahead and slide that in place. Same thing on the inboard. Don't be afraid to go bananas with this stuff, just as long as you don't get it on the brake surface. Well, I ran out of memory, but pick up where we left off. I had just got done putting some anti-seize on the ears of the brake pads. We've reinstalled the caliper. We finger tightened the bolts, added a little bit of lubricant to the bolts, made sure that everything here is moving nice and easily. And right now we're just going to tighten down these two bolts down here and get the brake line coupled. I already pulled the old banjo bolt and crush washer out. This crush washer was a blast. It was quite crushed. We're going to clean this up a little bit more. Put the new banjo bolt and washers in here. Get it attached. Get this ready to bleed. And then we're going to close this video up for part 3. Issues with the brake line itself. There's a little spot. Looks like it's rubbed against something, but it doesn't look like the fibers are damaged. I got a little plug in here. Get that plug out. Leave it in until you get to this point. Take your bolt. Your washer's gone first towards the bolt. When you put your bolt through, you want to put the other nut or the other washer. And it's going to go in through this way. So this is going to go on this way. And then bring it down in. Make sure that the square edge lines up with its, there's an abutting edge that it has to line up against, and it slides down in. That assures that your brake line is going to be facing out in the correct direction. The engineers designed this to be able to hold a specific shape, least amount of stress on the parts. Now, once you got that finger tight, you're going to need to grab a torque wrench and torque that down. Yeah, why not? I'll just put it right here. Torque that down. I'm just going to use the wrench and just hand tighten it. And then we'll close this out. Of course, that's probably the 11mm. This wrench is actually a little overkill. But see where I'm holding it? I'm not holding it out at the end. Got my thumb right against the socket, and I'm just going to pull until it's a good amount of pressure right there, and that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to go putting a lot of torque onto it because that's not going to go anywhere and it's not going to leak. Anything too much tighter than that, you will snap the banjo bolt. Alrighty, so now we'll start cleaning all of this mess up, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. And just don't forget, you got no more excuses. Pick up those wrenches.